everyone. Welcome to the Wellness Radio. I am Dr. Rebecca Warren, and I'm here with Dr. Nathan Warren. And let's be honest, I always say, like, as if you guys just started, like, listening to us, but every time we meet people, they're like, we've been listening to your show for years, which is really, really exciting. We have been doing this show for 5 years. 5 years. This year, or 2020, was it? 2020 was 5 years. So we're so excited to be on talk radio for 5 years because what we love the most is being able to share the truth with everyone. We like being able to give you guys the right information so that you know what it looks like to actually be well and to get well. And we just recently launched Dr. Nathan's Men Metabolic Reset program, which sold out and has started. Yeah, so that's really exciting. What was that first week like?
So I always forget like how exciting it is, like when you have individuals who they've made some changes in their lifestyle, but not like they're still very new to like changing their nutrition and the steps that it takes. But there's this massive like kind of raw excitement about it. Like they're just pumped. They're excited to do it. Some of them are a little nervous about like what I'm going to make them do, but they're really.
Listen, I'd
really
be nervous too.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff you'd be doing.
Well, they're asking questions. They were, they're involved. They're engaged. So, I'm really excited.
Well, I did see. I don't get involved in your men's group, but I had seen your phone. I was trying to get something off your phone, and they were all just messaging already, asking questions and stuff like that. So that's really exciting.
Okay.
Our goal is that you guys may always know that you're never alone on your health journey. That if you need the help, if you want the help, reaching out, making an appointment, joining our programs, or even just tuning in, we want you to know that we walk alongside with you in your health goals. And listen, honestly though, what we want is that you change your life. Like what we want is that you decide that you are not going to leave your health in your insurance company's hand, that you're not going to leave it in your doctor's hand, that you're going to do it for yourself, that you're going to be the best advocate for your health, and you can do that without ever coming into our office.
Yeah.
I mean, we ran in, do you remember Miss T?
Yeah.
We took a picture with her. This was like last year. She's the wife of someone in the studio, and she stopped us, and she goes, I spoke with you, Dr. Nathan, a few minutes after one of your radio shows, and you encouraged me. I told you I was having thyroid issues, but you encouraged me, and I tuned in every week, she said, and she might be listening today, tuned in every week, and she's like, for the last year, I've worked on it, I've implemented all the stuff you guys talked about, lost 101 pounds, she said, 101 pounds, thyroid issues are gone, her blood sugar is balanced out, because she was able to take the information and implement it. And then if you want to take it a step further, then come into our office, come get yourself checked, come see, on the functional side, what you can improve, and then on the neurological side, taking care of your spine and your nervous system so everything can heal and balance the best.
Yep.
But in the end, it's all about thinking for yourself.
That's right. Yeah, man, and taking control of your health. Like what an amazing feeling. When I hear in a world like where everybody's kind of like freaking out about their health and worried about this, like it's kind of an amazing feeling to know that I'm in control of it. Right? Like, it doesn't mean that I may not be exposed to some of the things that are out in our environment, but just because you get exposed doesn't mean that you succumb, right? And so knowing that I'm in control of the way that my body functions and the way that my body works is actually a very freeing, set of, piece of knowledge, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest thing that we try to give to every single person that not only listens to our show, but that comes into our office or anytime we meet somebody, is that just understanding like how intelligently you are designed, like how intricately you are made, and how just powerfully every single cell in your body works for the good of you and not for the harm of you, and that the body doesn't make mistakes, the body responds to its environment appropriately. Right, like appropriately. I think that's a hard one to wrap your mind around, because we're kind of taught that when you get high blood pressure, that's an accident. Your body made a mistake, right? It's just breaking down. Or when you get cancer, oh, well, sorry, you were just one of the unlucky ones that got cancer. And that's not true. Like, it is always an adaptation. There are no accidents. So your body is always responding to its internal and external environment. That's how amazing your body is made. And so to think that the only solutions for your health issues or your health crisis, to think that the only solutions are to throw a bunch of chemicals into the body or to burn something out or cut something out, to think that that's the only solutions to a body that's made so intelligently and designed so intricately is really, it's crazy,
It is
right?
crazy,
It's nuts. Rather than trusting that the body knows what it's doing and that there's certain laws that govern your health, right? Those are health laws. When we stay within those parameters, you get to express health. When you go outside of those parameters, you express what's called disease, right? Disease. And so, the good news is you can go back and forth between now, and it's always whose choice?
It's yours.
It's your choice.
And I've been doing, I'm about to launch, a program for people that have had their thyroid removed, people that have gone through thyroid cancer and all of that. And one thing, like, I've been doing this content, and I do want to share, because you made me think about this. I've been sharing about what I've learned through my 15 years of pretty much living with this chronic issue, right? 15 years of living without a vital. Ooh, we're getting started when Dr. Nathan's taking off his vest. He's like, I'm about to rip it. I'm getting hot. Let me take off my fancy vest. Like, okay, what are we about to get into?
I was really just hot. That was it.
Okay. All right. So, anyways, if you guys can't see us, you can go on Facebook, Dr. Warren. We are live.
I did not take off my shirt for those of you that can't see it.
His vest. He wasn't just wearing
the way
vest.
that Dr. Rebecca reacted.
I don't know. I just feel like usually when you start getting hot, I know you're about to rip it. But and if you've been listening to us long enough, usually our practice members are like, oh yeah, Dr. Nathan ripped it on Saturday, so we'll see what happens. But the two things I wanted to share with you guys is that number one is that there's this thing, and I see a lot with people that have thyroid issues, because thyroid issues are kind of the type of thing that your whole body, your internal body, like your body's ability to function slows down. It's not like you're growing a tumor on your head. It's not like you're having these it's an internal change.
Right.
And so when you have an internal change, you wake up knowing that something is off, and you wake up knowing that something is wrong. And that can happen with a lot of things, like men, if you have low testosterone. So usually it's a hormone thing, right?
Yeah.
Like the hormone thing, you wake up and you just know without a doubt that on the inside you're not yourself.
Yeah.
You're not like how God created you to live and function. But what I find is that people will come into my office and they'll do these consults with me, and they're like, I know something is wrong, but my doctor says what? Everything looks fine, my labs look okay, he won't do these other labs, he won't let me try natural desiccated thyroid hormone. They won't. While this person every day is living like crap. Like every day they know something is wrong, and they keep going back to this person who's nice, but won't let them do anything, won't let them do the labs they need, won't let them do anything.
Or is not nice.
Or is not nice. Yeah, there's some of you guys that are nice, but you guys not nice, and you guys still go to them. And it just blows my mind, because number one, you know your body the best. The best expert on your body is you. And I'm not saying, and I shared this in one of the things I created content from this separate program I made, like when I was 21 and I decided to fire my doctor, it wasn't out of a place of ego. It wasn't out of a place like, this doctor that went to medical school, I'm way better than them. At 21, I fired the doctor, and when I rehired my doctor, I walked in there and told him exactly what I wanted, because I was coming from a place of desperation.
Yeah.
Because I needed to be well. And I knew without a doubt that what was happening in the separate office was not working.
Yeah.
And I had to fire them, and that's why I felt completely fine at 21 firing this doctor. And finding someone else and being completely clear with what I expected from this doctor. And that's how my life transformed. So number one, you guys are going to these doctor's appointments getting flu shots just because you're there. You're doing this just because you're there. You're doing it just because that's what you do without even questioning it. And it's your stinking body, right? And the second thing is that health is a journey. And if you're not getting better today, even if it's like moving forward just a little bit, even if it's one step forward, if you're not even moving forward just one step, you're never going to get well. You're always going to get worse. You're always going to get sicker. So health is not a destination. I didn't just get well at 21 and that's it. 15 years later, I'm still working on my health. You have to put a plan together to move your health forward at all times. You have to always be investing. I mean, you're not going to buy a Ferrari and decide that you're not going to like get an oil change. You're not going to get the engine checked, or I don't know. Listen, I can tell you this. I didn't do that with my other car, and my tiny wheel broke. So, but for me, like, you're not going to buy a nice car and not get it checked, but you guys have this beautiful, amazing body that keeps you alive and goes over the top for you every single day, and you don't even take it to the next level when it comes to that health. And so we got to go on break, and I wanted to bring that up because today we're going to be talking about autophagy. And you're going to want to tune into this. You're going to want to go on Facebook. You're going to want to like and follow. You're going to want to share this video and save this video, because this is going to be a biohack, kind of. This is going to be something that you need to understand about your body and what you can do starting today to start fighting cancer, to start fighting start fighting heart disease, to start, I don't know what's going on. The kids are spazzy today. I'm like spazzy today. But autophagy is what you can start doing to start fighting cancer, to start fighting, blood sugar and metabolic issues, to start fighting, heart disease. And so if you're listening to this and you're like, she's funny, but they have really great information, I want their help, you can do a few different things. Go to our website, drswarren.com, DRSWARREN.com. We have all of our past shows on there. You can see our beautiful pictures, see who we are, see where we're located. You can request to make an appointment, a consultation with us. All the information about that is on there. And if you have any questions about coming into our office and working with us, you can also give us a call here at the office at 423-362-5360. Again, it's 423-362-5360. This is the Wellness Radio. We'll see you right after the break. Yeah, you're going to have to help me. I don't know what I'm saying today.
So we're not going to do anything with farting. We're going to talk about fighting, right? Like, we'll talk about...
I've been around toddlers too much.
That was good. That was really good. All right, so autophagy. Man, this is... I really think this is going to be a topic that is going to be, one of the most important topics that you can possibly hear about, mainly because this is something that's absolutely necessary and it's already happening, really, inside the body. It just may not be happening at the level that it needs to be happening at, inside of your body. And so when we're talking about autophagy, let's just kind of first break down what it is. So autophagy, in itself is like self-eating, right? Like that's kind of the definition or the meaning behind the word, autophagy. And so when we say self-eating, it's when literally your own body and mechanisms break down damaged parts of cells. Or you may have heard them called senescent cells, or some people even call them, like, the new buzzword is zombie cells, right? So, which is always funny to me. So senescent cells, zombie cells, damaged parts of cells. That's what autophagy does. Your body is so brilliant that it knows that when it kicks into autophagy, when it goes into this pathway, that it needs to break down damaged parts of itself. Now, really the easiest way to get the body into autophagy, which we'll talk more extensively about, is when you are actually fasting. And you guys have heard us talk about fasting. We're actually getting ready to do a fasting challenge in our office, February 1st through the 5th. We're going to be actually going over how to do like water fasting and what are the things that are happening, how to do it appropriately, how to break the fast. But when you look at autophagy, it's absolutely necessary for you in the prevention of cancer, in the prevention of autoimmune conditions, in the prevention of viral spreading and other disease processes going on in the body. I mean, autophagy is literally needed for you to have proper mitochondrial function, which again, we know that almost at the base of all chronic disease is mitochondrial dysfunction. So the more that you can actually activate autophagy, again, that's going to be a great thing. And I shouldn't say the more is always better, because there's a component where you also want to activate the other side of things, which is the mTOR pathway, which is the building up, right? So you've got the breaking down, which is autophagy, and then you have the building up, which is the other side called mTOR, right? And so those are the two that you want to go back and forth in. Now, you'll find that different lifestyles will stay more in one than another, and that's not always a good thing, right? And that's why we see, you know, some issues with just like people who get on one type of diet, like, you know, people that you know, maybe just do like a complete carnivore diet for years, or other people that do just a complete vegan diet for years. Again, you're staying one too much into autophagy, the other one you're in mTOR, so you're breaking stuff down too much and you're building stuff up too much. So we've got to have a balance there, and we can dive into that a little bit later. But hopefully that sets a foundation for you guys as to what we're talking about. Autophagy is breaking down, and it's very vitally important to your overall health. So we're about to go live again here in just a second, and we're going to dive into more on the subject.
Welcome back, guys. This is the Wellness Radio with Drs. Warren, Dr. Rebecca Warren here, and Dr. Nathan Warren. Make sure to like and follow us on Facebook at Drs. Warren, DRSWARREN, and at drswarren.com, because I know a lot of people usually are in the car or they're doing yard work when they listen. I know you guys, we've met you. I know what you're doing when most of you guys are listening. So you can go in, and on our website, you can sign up for our newsletter, and you can get a recap of today's show. I'm really excited because during the breaks, usually during the commercial breaks, we go deeper on the Facebook Live, and you talked about what autophagy is, and you mentioned something, and I'm going to let you jump into that, but one thing I wanted to kind of point out, which will be really interesting, we're going to talk to you guys about some ways that you can start fighting cancer today, you can start fighting heart disease and metabolic disorder, is that when we look at our nutrition, we only see these food items, right? Like we see them as diets, like I'm going to go plant-based, or I'm going to do Atkins. But you guys aren't looking at it from the metabolic standpoint. You're not looking at what happens in your body metabolically when you're only been doing vegan or vegetarian. You're not looking at what's going in your body when you're only doing, you know, metabolically when all you're doing is eating a lot of fat or protein all the time. You're not looking at yourself at a cellular level when you're eating like rancid canola oil or rapeseed oil, which is the same thing, vegetable oil, all these things. So let's go into what autophagy is and what to do.
And I even broke it down. That's a really good point in my men's group the other day. Like, I broke it down where nutrition equals, you know, cell structure and cell function. Like, when we teach nutrition, that's what it's about, right? Like, it's about cell function and cell structure. It has nothing to do with calories in, calories out. Like, I don't care about, you know, I don't care about really overall, I don't even care about your macros. I don't care about any of those things. What I care about is cell structure and cell function, because those are going to be the things that no matter what diet you choose to do, which, by the way, guys, remember there's certain times and places in life where you're going to need to switch it up, right? You may have a moment in time where, you know, going towards a, you know, plant-based ketogenic diet is a more appropriate thing for you, and then moving into, you know, more of a carnivore for a couple weeks because you've got inflammatory issues going on. Like, that feast famine cycle, that diet variation, that's absolutely huge. But overall, nutrition is about cell structure and cell function. Right? The healthier your cells are, the healthier you are as an individual. You're breaking down cells all the time, which we're about to talk about with autophagy, you know, breaking down damaged parts of cells, but you are also having to do what? Repair and build up new cells. And so again, if you are constantly breaking down the damaged parts and adding in all the good stuff, what happens over the next couple of years? You turn into a new person. Your organs turn into new organs, better function overall. So that's really what nutrition is all about. And so autophagy, just as a brief, if you want to know more, again, I talked about it in the first segment, go on Facebook, like and follow us at Drs. Warren, or our website, drswarren.com, and you can check that out. But autophagy in a nutshell is self-eating. It is when the body actually breaks down damaged parts of itself, right? Damaged parts of cells. It gets rid of things like senescent cells. It breaks down these damaged parts. So like let's give an example. Like when you're exposed to radiation and you had damage to your DNA, right? Guess what your body can do when it's in autophagy? It can break down those damaged cellular parts so that, again, it keeps you healthy. Because why? Because your body is brilliant, like we just talked about. So one of the best ways, and most of you have heard it before, to get into autophagy is via fasting. So what's so wild is that when you go into a fasted state, your body is smart enough to know to not break down the good parts of itself, right? Like, I mean, think about it. It doesn't try to kill itself. So what does it do? It breaks down the damaged parts of itself, which in turn makes you a healthier person. That's why autophagy is such a powerful, powerful tool to get into, over time.
And again, we just live our life and we don't have to think about what's happening inside of us. And so, plain and simple, if your cells are sick, if your cells get sick, your cells make up tissue, your tissues make up organs, your organs make up organ systems. How do I have heart disease? And you know what? Like, I'm going to bring up, we've been watching Grey's Anatomy, but something happened, and it's fine. But there's something that happened that I was like, yeah. So she was in this grief group, and this person was like, well, my husband had a minor congestive heart issues, right? And this cardiothoracic surgeon's like, there is no minor congestive heart failure. There's no minor heart issue. Because for you to have enough sick cells to create a symptom on the outside, that means there's a ton of sick cells. That's a sick organ. That's a sick system. So you don't have a little bit of bad, blood pressure. I'm only taking a little, blood pressure medication. That's a lot at that point. For your cells to be so sick, for you to have such an imbalance in your body, that now you're seeing it on the outside, that's a lot.
Or even stage 1 or stage 0,
cancer.
It's enough that they're seeing it, which means that, again, that's at a high level, right? It's at a very, very high level.
And I don't want this to sound negative. We're all about hope. But y'all got to wake up and understand that there's no such thing as a little bit of disease.
Right.
Disease is disease, which means what you've just explained is vitally important for each and every one of you guys listening to the show right now. Because we want our cells to be well, and we want them to die off if they're sick, and we want new stem cells to take their place. So if you are not actively working on regenerating good, new, healthy cells, if we're not actively working on getting rid of sick parts of our cell, you're just going to keep on having disease, and that little bit you think is always going to be a whole lot more.
For sure, no doubt. Well, I want to dive into some areas where you can actually trigger autophagy, right? How do you activate it? Like, what are the best ways to activate autophagy? Because, again, if it's that important, we want to figure out how can we get the benefits of that on a daily basis, and then how can we get like really big bang for your buck, times throughout the year where we can activate quite a bit of it. And so let's kind of dive into the first and obvious one that again, we've talked about before on this show, and that you guys have probably heard before when it comes to autophagy, is fasting. Right? Fasting is going to be kind of your original way to really get into autophagy. Fasting is going to be the original way that our ancestors got into ketosis, right? And was able to burn fat for fuel. So fasting is a massive, massive benefit. And really it wasn't until, recently looking at our society where we decided fasting wasn't a good thing. I mean, pretty much every society in the history of mankind, almost every religion that's out there, almost every group and culture of people, fasted and utilized fasting, whether it was on purpose or whether it was, religious practice, or whether it was because of survival. However it was, our bodies, our DNA, our cells are designed to have fasting implemented in somehow, some fashion, into our lifestyle. That is the way we are designed to be. So, we've got to talk about that topic. Now, I think we do have to take a quick break. So when we get back, we're going to dive into the first thing that activates autophagy, into fasting. Make sure that, again, you get on our Facebook. I'm going to talk a little bit more about it, again, during the break. So Doctors Warren, or go to doctorswarren.com, DRSWARREN.com, to learn more about us if you're new to this show. And also, too, if you want to get more information about, how to schedule an appointment, or, are you a right fit for chiropractic care and structural correction in our office? Are you a right fit for functional wellness in our office, and taking a deeper dive into your hormones or autoimmunity or digestive issues or whatever it may be for you? Again, you can give our office a call. That number is 423-362-5360. And Mary Beth can get you set up with that and really point you in the right direction, because we know that each and every one of you has an individual fit, and really finding where you fit, into our office. So again, that number is 423-362-5360 or doctorswarren.com. This is Wellness Radio. I'll see you right back after the break. All right, guys. So diving into fasting, right? Like, this is a topic that I love and hate to talk about, right? Like, I mean, even with the fasting that we've done, fasting's not always like my favorite thing in the entire world. Like, I even think you seem to, different types of fasting you seem to do better, and different types of fasting I seem to do better.
Yeah,
right?
I like to do all or nothing.
Yeah. So Dr. Rebecca's like, one week she'll be like, yeah, I think I'm just gonna do like a 5-day water fast, and I'm like, you literally like just decided that like right now. Like, it takes me like a month or two to build it up into my mindset, to get ready for something like that. Whereas like intermittent fasting, like I can do a 24-hour fast like it's nobody's business. And sometimes to a fault, right? Like if I'm working, and I'm not focusing on, really on eating, because eating slows me down. Like, but intermittent fasting, doing a 24-hour like dinner to dinner fast, like that is no big deal to me. That's something that's super easy to me to do. So there's different types of fasting, and what's really cool is that those all trigger autophagy in some fashion and form. Now, some more than others, right? Like, obviously, the longer that you fast, the more autophagy that you're going to actually, activate. So when you look at like doing a 5-day water fast, or even a 3-day, a 3-day water fast is super powerful. Or for some of you, a new one that you may have never heard of, doing something like a 1-day or 24-hour dry fast is equivalent to like a 3-day water fast. So, there's different ways that you can activate a ton of autophagy and break down damaged parts of yourself, damaged cells. Like even Thomas Siegfried, right, from Boston College, world-renowned cancer researcher, wrote the book, Cancer is a Metabolic Disease, which, by the way, is not just like a book that you get that's like this big. Like, I didn't know that at first.
Yeah.
It's literally a flippin' textbook full of
You were telling people to buy it. Like,
they're like, it's $180.
Yeah, cancer is a metabolic disease, and they're like, Dr. Nathan, like, this is like a study, like, there's a whole class in this book.
That's like $180, it's like a textbook. But anyway, he talks about how one 5-day water fast a year can cut your overall risk of cancer by like 95%. Like one, like, so taking 5 days out of 365 days, like taking 5 days can cut your overall risk of cancer by 95%. Like, that's pretty amazing. So that's interesting. But then you also look at it and say, well, okay, if that's a good thing, what if I implemented getting autophagy on a daily basis, right? And that's where I think it even gets more powerful, because now we're talking about a lifestyle, right? We're talking about implementing it on a daily basis. And so when we look at, really diving into autophagy, the studies will kind of vary a little bit on like the hours that seem to be where you activate autophagy. Like, I know that some studies show even around like the 13 to 14 hour mark, you start to implement some autophagy, but I think it's around like the 17, 18 hour mark that really takes it up a whole nother notch when it comes to autophagy. So doing that on a daily basis is a big deal. So we're about to go live again, so hang on 1 second, we'll dive more into it.
Welcome back, guys. This is the Wellness Radio. We are Doctors Warren, Dr. Nathan, and Dr. Rebecca Warren here. We're here every Saturday from 10 to 11 and 11 to 12. And so we're talking about autophagy and how you can achieve autophagy. Before the break, Dr. Nathan mentioned fasting. And there's so many different ways to fast. And listen, guys, like you mentioned how in modern day societies, when we're like, oh, fasting is bad, but we've been doing fasting since the beginning of human existence. The problem is that right now we really love our snacks. We love our empty calorie drinks.
The worst word I ever taught my kids. The worst word I ever taught my kids.
All they want, they wake up and they're like, Mom, I want some snacks. And I'm like, let's eat some food for breakfast. No snacks.
And you could serve them, like you can literally serve them what you were going to have for breakfast and call it a snack. And they're like, okay, great. And they're going to eat it. But if you call it breakfast, they don't want to eat it. And I have to say, that was my fault. Like, I used the word snack, like, literally one time with Elijah when he was like 1.5.
You did not use it one
I may have used it twice with Elijah.
Monsters.
And then from there, it was like little monsters.
I mean, like, honestly, like, you know, they did a study looking at how many, you know, they looked at a group of Americans and they were like, okay, you know, like, how often do you eat? And they're like 3 times. And the average was 17 to 21.
Yeah.
Because when you have an insulin response to what you put inside your mouth, that is considered a meal. So you guys have coffee in the morning, but it's not just coffee. You have a lot of sugar in it, or you have a lot of creamer in it, or you have a lot of other crap in it. Then you have the soda, then you have this piece of candy, then you have this cookie at work. So really the problem is that we don't give our bodies a break.
Yeah.
So he's going to get into fasting, but I do want to share this with you guys. We are going to have a virtual free webinar on Zoom, which is crazy because before COVID, we would tell people there's a webinar and people would have a really hard time.
What?
Well, webinar? You mean it's not going to be on Facebook? How do I get on? And now all of you guys are like, oh, Zoom, totally.
Oh, easy.
Oh my gosh, last year we had to like troubleshoot people to get on our webinar, but now it's going to be really easy. All you have to do is register for it. So how to water fast. And so if you're like, I can't water fast, listen, we're going to talk about a 1 day. We're going to talk about, you know, like a 2 to 3 day. We're going to talk a 5 day. We're going to talk about the different ways to water fast. It's not just a 5-day water fast.
Oh, there's
okay?
many ways to do it. Yep.
Yes, so it's going to be virtually on Monday, January 18th at 8:30 p.m. We're going to talk about how to prepare, what to expect, how to come off the fast, and I will make sure to reshare this, and I'll put it on our website, and we'll send out an email, so make sure to sign up for our newsletter at drswarren.com, DRSWARREN, but go on Facebook, because that's where we posted it right now, and get yourself registered.
And I was just thinking, too, I know that there's, you know, maybe men and maybe some women, but especially men, I know there's some like my dad right now that are listening that are like, you're going to teach us how to do a water fast, right? Like, you know, I can hear some of the sarcasm there, like, you know, okay, so is it not just drinking water for a few days? But really, it's more in depth than that. Like, understanding what is happening, like, at, like, kind of every hour and breaking that down is actually very, very powerful for not only your mind as you're going through it, but understanding like what you're doing. Like, for example, when you're 2 days, you know, you're 3 days into this water fast, and you're thinking, man, this is so hard, I don't know if I'm gonna last, but you know that like already you've turned over the lining of your gut twice, and that you're breaking down massive amounts of inflammation, that you're well into autophagy, that, you know, at the 3-day mark, you're seeing all these things happen, including getting rid of damaged parts of your DNA. Like, knowing that those things are happening helps you to continue to go, right? Understanding how to actually, like, refeed the body post-fast is a huge deal. Like, knowing what to eat, so that way post-fasting you get the most out of it. Like, you know how many people I've seen that have like really like coming out of a fast, they already blew it, you know? They like you kind of blew what you just did because you didn't break the fast properly. Or some people even maybe coming off of a water fast need some help, like getting the peristalsis and moving the bowels and getting the motility working, you know, appropriately again. So that's all the stuff we're going to be going into in detail so you guys can feel comfortable on the fast. Oh, what about toxins? As your body's getting rid of toxins in a massive amount during a water fast, guess what? There's some little biohacks that you can do to help with that process and enhance the detoxification process at a cellular level. So we're going to dive into all of that. And it's as easy as you jumping on Zoom, getting on our webinar. We did it at 8:30 for a reason, because number one, we got to put our kids to bed. So we know that parents, that gives you time to put your kids to bed. It gives you time to get off of work. It gives you time to get comfy in your pajamas, get your hot tea, get your dinner, eaten and everything, so that way you can listen and really tune in and get the most out of it. And then you can join us in our challenge. Right now you know how to do it, and we're going to have a lot of people join in our challenge, as far as fasting goes.
And so, so autophagy, I just want to take a second, guys. We're on Facebook, Doctors Warren. live right now on our website, drswarren.com. You can sign up for a newsletter to get a recap of today's show and a lot of really great information. We do get comments here on Facebook Live. Eddie, I want to let you know, you left a comment. We're going to go into your comment during the break, Eddie. But guys, if you leave a comment here, we answer your questions here, especially during the break, so that we can go in deeper. Because, a really big thing, the comment has to do with cancer. And there was something really interesting that he mentioned is that if there's no medical treatment, then maybe I should, work on diet. But let me go and tell you something. Regardless of what an oncologist tells you, nutrition, listen, if you get diagnosed with cancer, you're not looking at nutrition as a way to just heal your body, okay? The nutrition isn't the medicine. The reason why, if you want to fight cancer, if you're afraid of getting cancer, if you want to be a cancer killer, the reason why you should always focus on nutrition is not because the nutrition is going to heal your body. It's because at its most basic, your body needs good fuel.
Yep, that's right.
Your body needs good gas. It needs good, clean calories. It needs nourishing calories to do what? To create a healthy body, right?
The cells, like we just talked about. Breaking them down, but also building them back up. Yeah.
So, exactly. So at its foundation, it's like saying oh, maybe you should, breathe clean air. No, that's a given. I need clean air to function. You need clean food to function. Yeah. So the fact that, and we've had this happen so many times through the years where people have cancer and they're like, well, my oncologist says it doesn't matter. What do you mean it doesn't matter? We know that your body needs fuel. And we know that good, clean fuel is always going to be better than bad, rancid, inflammatory fuel. Yeah. So at its basic, you should have good, healthy fuel. And so if you're trying to fight cancer, if you've been diagnosed, the food is important because, again, I'm going to go back to this whole thing. You're not going to get a Ferrari and work so hard to invest into this car to put the crappiest oil, to put the crappiest gas. You wouldn't do that because what you want is a good running Ferrari, right? You want a good running body. And so in the end, nutrition isn't the medicine. That's right. Your body heals itself. Nutrition is basic and it should always be good.
And you know how we can prove that really quick?
How?
Because in the lack of nutrition, what is it that still heals and performs? It's the body, right? There's nothing magical about the apple that you're consuming, right? What's amazing and magical and miraculous is the way the body can literally take that apple and turn it into living tissue and cells, right? So what did it? It's the body that did it, right? It's your cellular mechanisms that did it. It's not the apple. And so again, even in the lack thereof, which we're talking about right now, it's the body that does amazing things. In autophagy, it has no food to deal with, so guess what it does? It literally breaks down damaged parts of itself. It's so intelligent with that. So again, fasting is the first way to trigger autophagy, and I say out of all of it, it's the most powerful way, right, to trigger autophagy at a high level. So again, you guys can do that on a daily basis. You can pick out different times of the year to do it a little bit more, whether that's, again, the 3-day fast, a 5-day fast, the intermittent fasting on a daily. So there's just so many different ways to break into that route.
Yeah, and I want to get some clarity here because I hear this come up a lot, with intermittent fasting. So with these other fasts, you are eliminating, you're restricting calories, right? Intermittent fasting is different in the sense of you're not restricting calories, you're restricting your eating window.
That's right.
So I have people I'm nursing, I can't do that. Or no. You're still consuming the calories, you're just shutting down how many hours you're spreading that out. And the studies show that a restricted eating window, meaning snacking all day long, breakfast, it's horrible for your body. So having a set time to eat is showing really, 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 really amazing benefits. So we have to go on our last break here for today's show, this hour. Just make sure, find us on Facebook at drswarren.com. Go to, that's drswarren.com, our website, and Drs. Warren. If you want some help, whether you want to take your health to the next level or you are in pain, whatever it may be, whatever those health goals are, we help you get down to the cause and give your body what it needs. if you have any questions about making a consultation with us, you can find more information about it on our website or give us a call at the office at 423-362-5360. Again, that's 423-362-5360, and we'll see you right after the break.
Yeah. All right, so we got some questions here.
I'll touch on Michelle, and then we'll hit Eddie's because so you can read his.
Okay. Yeah.
So Michelle, with a 3 to 5 day fast, is blood sugar something you should be concerned about? No. So let me go ahead and explain this, because we work with a lot of people that have blood sugar issues, like that are diagnosed type 2 diabetics. And of course, I always recommend, before doing something really, really big, if you've been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, to make sure you have a practitioner on your side, and we walk alongside with people on that. So I'll never forget, there was one time, one of my coaching clients, he did a 3-day he was supposed to do a 5-day water fast, and on the 3rd day he quit, and he came in and we sat down and we looked at all of his data, because I have them test their blood sugar and their ketones, and he was like, oh my gosh, I freaked out because his blood sugar got down into the 60s, and he was like, I stopped because that's too low, and I was like, okay, but how did you feel? I felt great, I felt energy, like I felt fine, and I was like, so let's look at your ketones. So when you're going into a fast, yes, you're burning up that blood sugar, so your fuel coming from sugar is going down, but you're not eliminating all fuel, right? So what ends up happening is that now you're having fuel from fat, you're having fuel from ketone bodies. So what we looked at with him, which just so you know, like you're in ketosis when your ketones are about 0.5, right? So that's pretty low. His were at a 4. So he had enough fuel in fat. So the reason why his blood sugar was able to go down to a 50 or 60, and he felt great, and just so you know, he did another fast about a month later, completed it, and his blood sugar completely reversed. Like, he had no more blood sugar issues, right? But your blood sugar doesn't just act alone. Your body's not going to be like, oh, I'm just going to give up and we're going to pass out. When your blood sugar comes down, your ketone bodies come up. The reason why so many people have blood sugar issues, though, like, I had someone come in, another person that was like, well, my doctor says I can't ever fast. Well, yeah, because what ends up happening is when I looked at her calories, when I looked at her eating, her blood sugar, she was having overreaction. She was eating so many carbs. She was carb toxic. Her body just didn't know how to respond to it. So what was happening is she was having a really spiked insulin response and then crashing. And that crash is where people think they have these blood sugar issues and they think they can't fast. So that was, Michelle, for you. Let me know if I answered all of that. Great for you.
Well, I just wanted to touch really quick, because you mentioned that, like, how low the blood sugar can drop. There's literally been 2 other studies like 40, 50 years ago where they took individuals and they fasted them, 30 or 40 days, and then they injected them. Listen, at the end of the study, after fasting, they injected these people, crazy, with insulin, right? So, and here's what they saw. None of the individuals had any symptoms, had any problems with dealing with like the low blood sugar. And some of the test subjects, some of their numbers were in the 20s and 30s.
I mean, that was
and 40s.
not safe at all.
Not safe at all, but guess what happened?
That was amazing, yeah.
They were all fine. Because again, they were in a fasted state. It's completely different than the way you're thinking. Now, when you go into it, if you have blood sugar issues, you may need to take some time to like rest and lay down because your body's getting used to it. But again, that's going to be a really beneficial thing. Let's see.
All right, so Eddie, again, let's go ahead and touch base on this before we get back on the radio show. And we'll have another break here too. But, diet can certainly an option to slow growth.
All right, guys, welcome back to Wellness Radio. I'm your health expert, Dr. Nathan Warren, and I'm here with my beautiful wife, Dr. Rebecca Warren. And we've been answering questions on Facebook. Eddie just asked a really good question that we're going to get to here in just a few moments, I promise, because really that's a very important one. We've had, go ahead.
Yeah, let's go ahead and jump right in because I want to make sure we talk about it because this might be you guys out here. So the doctor, neuroendocrine carcinoma, and, suggests there's nothing they can do for it because it's slow growing. And God can cure it if he chooses it, but I think he gives us the good sense to pursue other options. If I'd like more information, how's the best way to get it? And thank you. Absolutely. Okay. The miracle isn't that your body can heal itself right now. The miracle is that you were given that ability to heal from the day you were born.
Yes.
Okay? And so we talked about, I'm just going to throw out some resources here for you, Eddie, and for anyone who's listening that they're like, hey, I want to take this deeper level. Listen, look at Nasha Winters, Nasha, N-A, Dr. Nasha Winters, N-A-S-H-A Winters, Thomas Siegfried, and it's S-E-Y-F-R-E-I-D. Chris Beats Cancer, The Truth About Cancer. I'm just going to throw those out there as resources for you guys. I can leave a comment here on this Facebook Live. But like I said, before the break, like, nutrition is the foundation. But I'll never forget, I was sitting at my best friend's table, and we shared this story all the time. I was sitting at my best friend's table, it was around Christmas time, and her mom had breast cancer years ago, and did all this treatment, really aggressive treatment. It was a horrible time. And then years later, here I am sitting at her table. She comes home from this doctor's appointment, and they tell her they have this slow-growing cancer and that she's going to die in 10 to 15 years because of this cancer. And
I only laugh
really
because
crazy,
come on,
yes.
dude, 10 to 15 years, that's such a guess. It is such a guess.
Oh,
it's crazy.
Don't worry. I was just like, what? Like, what? Anyways, so we sat there, and in that moment, I said, no, because in 10 to 15 years, you can have an entirely new body.
Amen.
And what you need to do is you need to work at yourself at the cellular level. There's a few things we know about cancer. There's a few characteristics we know about cancer. Cancer is, it prefers glucose. It metabolizes glucose more efficiently than other things, meaning that sugar and carbs in an excessive amount of it is going to feed it. It likes it. It can burn it up. It has an affinity for it. So we know that when these doctors are talking about that cancer is a metabolic disorder, it's because it has an affinity and it's going to go towards sugar and glucose. Another thing is it likes lack of oxygen. It likes anaerobic. It likes lack of oxygen. So there's treatments like hyperbaric oxygen chambers that saturate your body with oxygen that has been shown to really just kind of help your body fight and prevent cancer. Then there's things like IV therapy, like high-dose vitamin C. And you want to touch on that really quick about high-dose vitamin C?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's just been since like Dr. Pauling, really was the pioneer there. I mean, it's been shown over and 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 over again, despite how many times our medical system tries to, downplay its effect, have been shown to be very, very effective. But yeah, I think you nailed it. The top 3 things that we have in our fight against cancer are fasting. You got to implement that immediately. You got to start doing not only intermittent fasting on a daily basis, but again, I really encourage you, like Eddie, to make sure you join our fasting challenge and really get involved with that, because you're going to need to do that. To really, and also too, while you're fasting, prayer. We know fasting and prayer move mountains. They move absolute mountains, no doubt about it. But then also a ketogenic diet, right, combined with HBOT, hyperbaric oxygen therapy. Those things right there are your best. Those are your best tools for starting to fight cancer. I don't care what type of cancer it is. And I'll even say this, with neuroendocrine cancer, you say that there's no quote-unquote medical cure. Sometimes our patients, that's the best news, because now you get to throw out, the possibility of chemotherapy, radiation, surgery, and you just get to focus on trying to do the things that are going to build up the body and help you live. So I know we got to take, a break between this end of this segment and next segment. Go ahead.
So we're done with the show, guys. This is Drs. Warren. Find us on Facebook, DRSWARREN, and drswarren.com. We will see you next week from 10 to 11. So guys, we do have a second show, but we're going to wrap up these questions here, but we will be wrapping up this Facebook Live so that we can have this. Guys, if you want a recap of this, you can go to drswarren.com. Make sure you sign up for our newsletter to make sure you get an email breakdown of what we're talking about here. If we mention supplements, we link it there. But is there anything else you kind of wanted to?
Yeah, I mean, just some other things that trigger autophagy, just to kind of break them down for you guys and give you some things that you can do on a daily basis. Herbal teas, right? So organic herbal teas. Dr. Rebecca just bought me, really one of our, kind of mentors and some of the best books that we've read in the areas of fasting and blood sugar and those type of things are Dr. Jason Fung, and he created a tea, right? His tea is peak tea, right? P-I-Q-U-E.
Wait, he created that?
Yeah, he's the creator of it. Did you know that?
No.
I literally did not know that until I read more into it. Once you bought me the tea, yeah.
And I bought the tea.
You bought it from me. So, doing some like organic herbal
I did
teas.
not know that.
Yeah, and so he uses things like orange bergamot. Like bergamot it's been shown to trigger autophagy. Green tea, right? The EGCG that's in green tea triggers again activates autophagy. Cinnamon activates autophagy, as apple cider vinegar has been shown to activate autophagy. So those are some different types of teas that you can use. Green tea, matcha tea, these are fantastic, and if you want them all together, peak tea.
Yes, but I was going to say too, another amazing thing about peak tea, because I'm not like a big tea drinker, you are, but chemicals and junk in tea, which is why I did get you the
heavy
peak.
metals. Yeah.
Heavy metals in tea? Mold.
All that kind of
And
stuff.
so that's why I bought the peak
They
tea.
test for metals, they test for mold, they make sure it's as clean as it possibly can be. You're not just getting like, super weird, toxic green tea from China. Like you're getting the real stuff, right? Which is really, really good.
And I want to tell you this, like good quality tea is going to be more expensive.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, you just talked about how medicinal teas and herbs can be. You don't want crap ingredients when you're giving these really good nutrients to your body.
And we've talked about that. Listen, there's certain things in life that you consume that are, how would I put it, that have been almost sacred to, cultures and civilizations when it comes to the body and just some of the amazing health benefits. And those we've talked about before, things like olive oil, things like organic herbal teas, coffee, wine, right? These are like been in almost every culture that we've known of, like, since the beginning of time. And these can be very, very precious things, but again, they can also be very toxic things. So you have to get the cleanest. So it is worth it to spend the money on those things, right?
Yeah.
And we've talked about, that at least in our lifestyle. And just kind of finishing this up, EGCG, ginger, the 6-gingerol compound that's in there, some other things like quercetin, resveratrol, fisetin. These are all really, really great compounds, plant compounds that have been shown to trigger autophagy as well and really help with the whole self-eating, getting rid of the damaged parts of cells.
I'm going to have to start drinking green tea.
I know. Gotta do it. Gotta do it. So again, hopefully that gives you guys some really good ideas on what to consume, right, to trigger autophagy.
Absolutely. And so, yeah, any, and then Mary Beth, could you wrap up this video? So any other questions that you guys might have, make sure to leave a comment, share this video, shoot us a message. I know we got some messages here during the radio show, but thank you guys for tuning in. Find us on
Join
our
our challenge too.
Challenge!
February 1st through the 5th is going to be awesome, but we have a post on there so that you guys can join our Zoom link because it's free and it's going to be amazing.
Absolutely. We're going to have to fast at different times, aren't we?
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, you're not going to fast at all because she's working on her hormones and adrenal. So, but
Way
anyway,
to throw my stuff out there. All right.
There you go.
All right, guys. This is Wellness Radio, and we'll see you next week.